I want to look very briefly at the story of King Abgar, king of Edessa, ruler of the Assyrians. And the story is that St. Jude Thaddeus went and preached to King Abgar. It's interesting, I saw this random picture of a Greek Orthodox church, and if you look up above the altar, the inside the dome over the altar, and the decorations around the altar area itself, you see the picture or sequential art, like a comic strip, showing the story of King Abgar and Thaddeus. And connect to the story of Thaddeus, and we see this in the cover of my book. And we got Christmas coming on, and this would be a great Christmas present. My book, this is the St. Jude Thaddeus storybook, and then we have St. Jude Thaddeus and the Legend of the Shroud, and we see the image of Edessa, the holy image of Edessa, associated with St. Jude Thaddeus, who's called in Aramaic Mar-Adai. And it was Mar-Marai and Mar-Adai who evangelized the Assyrian people. I've been looking at Ron Susek's book, and he has the three apostles named as Thomas, Thaddeus, and Bartholomew. And actually, I think we see that with Lady Surma's book. And there are stories of Bartholomew evangelizing the area as well. But the three main apostles of the Assyrian people would be Thomas, Thaddeus, and Mari. I'm not minimizing the work of Bartholomew. We'll look at Bartholomew's stories later. But the story of the Assyrian people is the story of St. Jude Thaddeus. And we have this image, and there's a lot of theories. People who are into the Shroud of Turin, which I think is a very interesting. We look at the Shroud of Turin approach in this book, The Legend of the Shroud. People think that if the Shroud of Turin is authentic, so we see here in the book, the holy image of Edessa, and then there's the Shroud of Turin, which is, in the earlier versions of the story, you have this image, and in some accounts, it is painted, but then in ancient earlier accounts, like the Acts of Marmarai, it says that the holy image of Edessa is an image not made by hands, made by a cloth touching the face of Jesus. But this, in the Greek Orthodox Church, the story of the gospel coming to the Assyrians is very prominent. And they even have a feast day. The holy image of Edessa has its own feast day. I think it's in August. But there's a day of the holy image of Edessa observed by the Greek Orthodox churches. So I think that's very fascinating. And like I said, you see this iconography of the holy image of Edessa used very widely in the Greek Orthodox and the Russian Orthodox churches. So this is very interesting. Look at the arch over the inner sanctuary, and you see the picture of Ananias, the scribe, the envoy of King Abgar, going and seeing Jesus, and then seeing King Abgar, and then Abgar being approached by Thaddeus, and Thaddeus healing him being converted. So it's very interesting to see the story in sequential art at this altar of Greek Orthodox Church. Inside the dome, you see two events that are very interesting, and one is a depiction of the harrowing of hell, which is part of the Aramaic Christian tradition as well. The story that, the descentus ad infernum, where Jesus he descended into hell, not as a victim, but as a conqueror. Christ conquers the death, hell, and the grave. So he had this idea, and I think Lady Sherman was talking about it, of the resurrection of Adam and Eve, and the redemption of all mankind through the crucifixion and the resurrection. So that's depicted. So you see the story of Thaddeus of Edessa, the conversion of King Abgar, and then you look inside the arch, or the dome, the inside of the dome, and you see the harrowing of hell, Jesus descending in hell, conquering, resurrecting, and escorting the souls of the righteous dead who are waiting for the Redeemer from the grave into heaven. And then you have a painting of Jesus appearing to the women at the empty tomb. And I think it's also very interesting that probably a lot of awareness was created about Aramaic through Mel Gibson's movie, The Passion of the Christ. And right now, I guess filming is going on right now with the resurrection of the Christ. I believe Mel Gibson is going to depict Christ descending into the netherworld and conquering the devil, liberating the souls of of the righteous dead. So it's going to be and the movie is going to be a two-parter. It's going to be the resurrection of Christ Part 1, the resurrection of Christ Part 2, and Jim Caviezel's not going to be able to come back, at least not in the role of Jesus. All the major actors, because it's been over 20 years, all the major actors and actresses have been recast, and looks like a good new cast. I think that this movie is going to be in Aramaic as well. He should make it in Aramaic so it kind of fits with the other one. I believe it will, but I haven't really heard a word on that. And I also want to look at some of my pictures of when I visited Jerusalem and Bethlehem, the Palestinian territories and the churches over there. So I went to the cave where Jesus was born, and they have like a silver star on the ground, and I waited for the holy fire. Now, Bethlehem used to be all, pretty much majority Christian. Now it's used to be like 100% or 75%. Now it's like 25%. It's sad. It's really sad. But George Karaz is an Aramaic scholar. Most of the Palestinians in Bethlehem are, they have a Syrian identity. They're Syrian Orthodox. And I went to the house of Saint Mark, which is the upper room, and it's the Syrian Orthodox Church as well. So that's very interesting. And they have big an Aramaic inscription identifying this as the side of the upper room. They also have a lot of posters and signs educating pilgrims about Sappho, the Assyrian genocide. So you go there this is good, though. You go there to this church to see where the upper room took place. And, you see Aramaic on the wall. What is this about? Who are these people? And they have information about the tragedy of the ethnic cleansing and genocide carried out by the Kurds and the Ottoman Turks during World War I. So you support my work by buying my books. These are both, I think they came out looking very professional, high quality, but it's got well illustrated and has the information about the story of St. Jude Thaddeus, of King Abgar, and the Holy Image of Edessa, and the Assyrian identity. So check it out. Thank you. God bless you, and hope you can join us for the program. So like, share, and subscribe. Thank you, and God bless you.